Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I am using 3 brushes and 9 products. I know that sounds like a lot, but for me that's like nothing. And this is me achieving my get up and get out the door under 10 minutes lazy makeup routine. This is what I'll typically do to just kind of get out the door. There's no mascara, there's no eyeshadow, the skin looks healthy. We focus on complexion just so that you look alive and awake. But this is the type of look I would then throw on a big pair of sunglasses and go about my day. So if that's something you're into, make sure to keep on watching. And please don't forget to subscribe because I do upload twice a week. And that is the best way to stay up to date on all the fun stuff I'm posting. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So to start on, this is a brush I actually got in a BoxyCharm like almost a year ago. It is by Crown. And lately I've really liked this for primer. So I'm going to start with the Vitamin Enriched Face Base from Bobbi Brown. Taking a little bit on this brush. And I'm just going to use this to gently massage this into the skin. And the reason I like to use this primer is it is a hydrating primer. And since we are not going in with an actual foundation and we're just using powders, this is really going to help us to ensure that it stays looking good all day, but that it doesn't get really dry looking. The reason I like using a brush like this, especially lately, is it's super dense. So it doesn't soak up a lot of product. It just helps you kind of move everything over. But when you go in with your fingers after, everything is very smooth and there's not a lot of like grit to it. It really helps to move everything in. Then I'm gonna take the Cover FX Blurring Primer. You can use any blurring primer you want, but lately I've been liking this one. And the way that I do this with that same brush is I take a little bit on the hand and I gently kind of stipple it a little bit until it is picked up by the brush. And then focusing that on the nose and the under eye, I'm just going to smooth out any of my major pores. And then using whatever's left on the brush, I'm just going to feather it into the forehead where I know I typically like to have a little bit extra smooth coverage. Then going into concealer, this is the NARS Radiant Creamy. I'm in the shade Canelle. The reason I picked this one is first off, it is the closest to the brightening color I want. But second, this has a little bit of brightness to it. I would not necessarily call it luminous, but it really does have like a healthy glow. So I'm just gonna take that and really stipple that into the under eye area. And then once I kind of see that going where I want to, I'll take the finger and I'll just work that into the direct areas of the under eye. And you'll see how the under eye bags are now canceled out. Everything's looking a little more even, but it doesn't look like we just added a whole lot of concealer to the face. It doesn't look overdone, and it really doesn't look crazy. And using whatever's left on the brush, I'm just gonna add a little bit of that concealer to the lid space. This is just going to slightly tone down some of the redness, but the major purpose of that is it's just gonna kind of help to keep them from looking greasy throughout the day, especially for someone like me who has an issue looking greasy. Then going into a MAC Mineralized Skinfinish. This is in the shade Medium Golden on a dense, this isn't a flat top, a dense dome topped foundation brush. I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this product and I'm going to tap it into the skin. And then once I get down to the beard area, I'm gonna swirl it just because I want less coverage down there. Now the reason I'm using this product as opposed to a powder foundation, this is more of like a lighter coverage setting powder, is that when I'm using something like a Studio Fix powder, that gives you so much coverage, but it's also a matte finish. What I love about the Mineralized Skin Finishes is it's just that, it's a skin finish. It gives you a really, I wouldn't call it luminous, it just has more dimension to it. So whereas with a matte powder foundation, everything would look super matte. Like you'll see a little soft sheen to the skin. It just makes everything look, honestly, for lack of a better word, skin-like. And just to keep it from getting powdery, once we feel like we have the coverage we want, I'm just gonna go back in with that brush and just kind of buff a little bit. And this is just going to move the product around. Anywhere where it might be looking overly powdery, it's going to pick some up. Anywhere where there might be a dry patch where there isn't any product, it'll drop some off, and it's just gonna help everything to just look a little bit healthier. Then dipping back into that first brush, I'm gonna take a little bit of the Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder, and I'm just going to tap twice in there, and I'm going to stipple that onto the under eye. And the reason I'm using this as opposed to a fluffier brush is this is just going to basically go anywhere where we put that concealer, and it's not going to overly brighten. What I've noticed when you go in with a fluffier brush is it'll pick up a little bit too much product, and I know that that kind of sounds like an oxymoron because we're going in light, but it will pick up too much product and you'll get a hyper brightened under eye, which is great when you're working with something like a full coverage foundation. But when you're just doing like powders and something a little more natural, this just gives you a soft brightness without it going overboard. And we're already almost done. Next, I'm gonna go into the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. This is in the shade Bronzer. And I'm gonna be taking that on an Aesthetica P12 brush. It's a fluffy bronzer brush. The reason I picked this bronzer is that it has a little bit of luminosity to it. Again, I feel like the trend for this is pick products that aren't super matte because you really wanna add dimension to the face, but you do want like a soft glow because skin is not matte. Skin does not naturally have a super matte finish. Even if you're dry, there's still gonna be reflection to the skin. There's still gonna be dimension. So when you go in with products that have a little bit of soft luminosity, it's gonna just kind of help everything to look a little more lifelike. And because this is like an everyday wearable, we're not going in with a lot of bronzer, we're not contouring. This is just gonna add a little bit more dimension to the face. And then using that foundation brush, where those two meet, I'm just going to press this into the skin just so that you don't have a harsh line where you've brightened or where you've bronzed. So everything just looks very airbrushed, very, very skin-like and very natural. Then going into a setting spray, this is the Sport Fix from Makeup Revolution. It is an extra hold makeup finishing spray that is supposedly sweat-proof, sport-proof, basically running around doing errands with not much on your face. This is supposedly gonna hold it all in place. I'm actually testing it out still, and I've been very happy with it so far, but I haven't done like enough with it to really say this is amazing, but stay tuned for my August favorites because it might be in there one way or another. And the last thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna take the Physicians Formula Butter Highlighter. This is in the shade Rose Gold. The reason I'm using this one is this is gonna kind of double as a highlighter and a blush. So it does have a very nice reflect to it. It is super buttery and like, this is such a soft formula. So you don't wanna like swirl, you just wanna like tap your finger in there. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of that to the high points of the face. And then going back into the foundation brush, I'm just gonna kind of stipple that around because I like where it is, I like the intensity, but I don't want it to be super blinding foiled highlighter. I want it to be a little bit less dramatic because this is, again, daytime and wearable, but this is so beautiful. I like to use these as a super foiled highlighter when I am going full glam, but when I just want like a soft rosiness to the cheeks, I find that this is beautiful. And lastly, for the lips, when I'm going for a barely there, very minimal makeup, I will take the Sephora Outrageous Plumping Gloss in 01. The reason I like this is it is a very, very clear gloss, but it has tiny little reflects of sparkle. So that's just gonna add a little bit of plumping and a little bit of sheen so that the lips look a little more pronounced without adding like color or lipstick. And that's the finished look. So this is my super lazy, like just get up, look alive, and not like I need another 10 hours sleep, get out of the house and get my stuff done kind of look. This is typically what I'll do on a regular day where I just need to look alive, look like I'm not dying, and really have like a healthy glow to the skin without it looking like I spend a lot of time going full glam. So I spent more time talking in this video than I did actually applying product. So this is that kind of video. So if you enjoyed, please leave the video a thumbs up and leave me a comment down below letting me know what is your go-to like one and done out the door simple makeup routine. Because I know like 3 brushes and 9 products is a lot to some people, but to me this is like super low maintenance. So make sure to leave me that down below and I will see you next time. Bye.